it is very easy to think about that you should be further along. And once again, many times that's because of comparison. That's also because we're looking at the past continuously. Now, I believe that we can look back for a short second to see how far we've come, but even greater is when we have a vision for our life. Now we're excited, and that vision pulls us and begins to start getting us thinking about the future and what it could be. All right, friends, welcome back to the Champion Life Podcast. I'm your host, Curt Tucker, and today I've got a good one. One of the things that I think about in life so much is how we compare ourselves to others. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you and I want to ask you the question: do you ever feel like you're behind? Like, do you ever feel like you're too late? Like you missed the boat? Like, where is my life gone? I can tell you this: at the age of 43, at the ripe young age of 43, sometimes even for myself, it's so easy to say, wow, how is life just flying by? Am I behind? Have I missed out? And over the last couple of weeks, as I've had some conversations with some of my clients, that topic has came up a lot. And we begin to start to dissect why we believe that is and how we can reframe and shift our mindset so that we can begin to start visioning ahead for the future. So friends, if you deal with any of those things, you're going to definitely want to tune in and lock in on this episode. So let's talk about that for a second. Where does the mindset come that we're too late? That I don't know if I have enough time, am I good enough? All those different thoughts that we tend to have, day in and day out. Last episode, we talked a lot about the frequencies of life. And are we paying more attention to a faith frequency, or are we paying more attention to a, fear type of frequency? So I believe that when we begin to start dealing and struggling with, thoughts that we're behind, that I'm too late, that, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to, have the life that I really want to have. Those are fear-based thoughts. Those are worry-based thoughts, right? Because what happens, is anytime a thought creates a negative feeling, we know that that's not a thought that serves us, right? And we talked a lot about that last week. So I believe that one of the greatest, indicators, if you will, that gets that we can begin to start paying attention to, when we begin to start thinking that we're too late, that we're not good enough, that you're behind in life and you should be doing better, is this one word called comparison. See, I believe that comparison is the thief of joy. When we begin to start, looking at our life and comparing ourselves to others, especially on social media, where most people are posting on social media, they're what? Their highlight reel, right? They take 3, 4, 5 photos before they actually choose the best one, or many things that are being done are edited to look better. Sometimes I'll have somebody say, hey, Curt, man, that one video that you produced the other day, that one reel, man, that was awesome. That thing looked incredible. And I'm like, yeah, I know, man. My editing team is amazing. My social media team is incredible, right? Because I didn't do that. So, I'm taking sometimes a product that is just me, and now it's going through the filter of other people who are excellent at what they do. That's a whole nother subject. But, that is one of the reasons that I do believe that in life, if we're not where we want to be, we should get help. Right. My wife and I talk about this a lot when it comes to coaching from a marriage standpoint, that a marriage coach is not a crutch. It's somebody to help. So whether it be, an actual marriage coach or counselor that you hire, or going to a retreat, or you've got some very wise friends that you reach out to, you need somebody in your corner in really all walks of life that can help you, when you get stuck. or they can just be a sounding board that you can go to and you can say, hey, listen, here's what I'm thinking, here's what's on my mind. But comparison is the thief of joy, friends. So when we begin to start comparing our lives to others and saying, man, it just seems to me like they got it all figured out. They seem so happy that, they've got that nice house or that nice car, or they're taking these trips all the time, or they're doing whatever, because one of the things that I will tell people is, hey, listen, don't compare your life to mine. Don't compare where you're at in your season of life, especially if maybe, you're in a season of life where you've got little kids right now. Like, the way that Rachel and I live today, compared to the way that we lived when our kids were little, there's some similarities, but there's also some big differences, right? Like, we have a lot more freedom in our life, now compared to when we were younger. Now, we still always prioritize the things that were the most important, but trying to get out and do 3 or 4 date nights a week like we do now, that wasn't going to happen, right? We would always do our best to get our once a week, but, going out multiple times a week and having that kind of freedom just wasn't going to happen. So, if I would have tried to compare myself and why, did other people get to do those things, that wouldn't have been fair to me. So, let's talk finances for a second, because this is where the comparison many times starts. And this is the conversation that a friend and I were having. We were just talking about, like, geez, I just feel like at this point in my life, I should be so much further ahead. And we begin to start talking numbers, and I would say, geez, if, a lot of people would be pretty happy to be sitting with that number in a bank account, or that number in an investment account, or whatever. And we begin to start just talking about the what ifs. Well, what if, we wouldn't have done this, but we would have done that? Couldn't we have so much more, right? And, we begin to start talking about, the things that matter most, though. And I was sharing with him and a couple other people, oh my gosh, well, and I even told my kids this years ago, because they said, why don't we have this? And I said, that particular year, I said, well, that's because we gave this much to the church this year. And they were really blown away by the amount of money that we gave to the church that year. For some, people, that would be more than what they made in a year. And it was one of those things where, number one, it was such a blessing to even think about that number that we were able to give for that year, but also as a reminder that priorities matter. And so the conversation that I was having with this gentleman the other day was, you know what? I'm sure that I could have even more tucked away in savings, even more tucked away in investments, even more. But what would have been the cost? Because, see, there's always a cost to everything. There's a cost to whether you choose to get up in the morning or sleep in. There's a cost to whether you choose to make it a priority to go on the date night this week or not. There's a cost to decide, whether you're going to, show up to the office a little bit early and do what you said you were going to do that day, or to not. There's a cost to everything. It's really what we call cause and effect, right? And so, one thing I said is, I can't imagine the cost, okay, if I wouldn't have prioritized putting my marriage first and doing those things like the date nights and going on those vacations and taking my family and my kids on those trips and investing all that money in personal development and going to those seminars and reading those books and hiring those coaches. Because I know how much we've spent on those things, and it's been a lot. But what I don't really know is how much it potentially could have cost me if I wouldn't have done those things. And I begin to start elaborating even a little bit more on that and saying that sometimes what we see in black and white isn't always what it is. And that's really where faith comes in, right? Like, sometimes we don't always see the full picture. We don't always see how the decisions that we're making today are affecting us 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. And I begin to just start sharing with him that, there's a good chance that I might not be who I am today if I wouldn't have made that decision 10 years ago, 15 years ago, to invest in our marriage, to invest in the things that we wanted to do with our kids, to invest and say, hey, you know what? I'm not willing to take that position, even though I can make a little bit more money, but not at the expense of not being able to be home by 5 o'clock every single day from my family, or being able to coach my son's teams all throughout, or be able to take them to school or pick them up. See, there's always a cost to everything, friends. So no matter where you're at in your life right now, I want to ask you a question. Are you counting the cost? Are you really thinking about where you're at right now and what you want and what you're willing to do to get there? Because here's what I know is that when you begin to start looking at your life and you begin to start thinking of where you are right now, it is very easy to think about that you should be further along. And once again, many times that's because of comparison. That's also because we're looking at the past continuously. Now, I believe that we can look back for a short second to see how far we've come, but even greater is when we have a vision for our life. Now we're excited, and that vision pulls us and begins to start getting us thinking about the future and what it could be. And so I want you to take a second right now and ask yourself, do I have a vision? You hear me talk a lot about that on this podcast. You hear me talk a lot about that in social media, in clips and things that I do. You know that I'm big on having a vision board. You know that I'm big on having a vision wrote down. You've heard me share that that was a game changer for me in 2010 when my coach, Jay Meyer, at the time, read a vision statement to me that was just absolutely blew my mind. And you know what? I wasn't going to do this, but on this podcast, I just so happened to have it right here next to me because I was looking at it the other day, and I'm going to read it to you. Now, I want you to keep this in mind. Where I was at the time that this vision statement was created for me in 2010, it wasn't long before this that we had lost everything, that our house was foreclosed, our cars were repossessed, we were on food stamps, on the verge of a divorce, okay, and literally just hanging on by a thread. I was beginning to develop my faith. At this point, we had started our business, but I was still making dumb mistakes. I was still drinking and smoking some weed, and I had finally made a decision to let go of that. We were living in a duplex at the time that we were renting. We had one car to our name. And when I finally developed the courage to say, I need a coach, I need a mentor, I need somebody who can help me take my life to the next level. And I was going to church, I was beginning to read books, I was beginning to do things differently. But oh, I didn't realize how far, I had to come. And I was constantly playing a game with myself at that point in my life. I should be further ahead. I don't have a college degree. I didn't graduate. I see people getting jobs. I see people that are living in their dream home. I see people that I went to school with that at that point it looked like they were just doing incredible things. And I had even had some success early on and thought that I had a great life. And then all I did was go run it into the ground. So at this point, I am really still struggling in my confidence. I am really still struggling in what the plan is for my life, if you will. And I'm lacking a little bit of purpose. I'm lacking a little bit of discipline. And I'm certainly lacking vision. Now, I don't know if you can relate, friends, to that, but that's where I was back at the time that this vision statement was put together for me. And the great thing that this vision statement did that I'm going to read here in a second is it gave me what? It gave me a vision. It gave me a roadmap. It gave me something that was like, listen, this is the life that I want. And every day as I read that vision statement, it became even more and more and more believable as if I was almost living in that life at that point, even though I wasn't. See, I say this all the time. All things are created twice. They're first created in our mind, and then they're created in the physical. So no matter where you're at right now, friends, in life, maybe you are absolutely crushing it. Man, I love that. Maybe you're doing all right. Life is good, but like I like to say, good, it's the enemy of great. Or maybe you are literally hanging on by a thread, listening to this podcast for the first time ever because somebody shared it with you. And they're just saying, hey, you got to listen to this dude. He's an encourager and he's going to get you motivated and inspire you for what life is possible. But at the end of the day, your belief level is very low right now in yourself. I want to share with you this vision statement that was put together for me that was an absolute game changer. Here was the vision statement. Curt, you are a man of God with attributes that express positivism and sureness in your roles as a husband, dad, leader, and entrepreneur. You have a tremendous amount of energy, drive, passion, and compassion, coupled with a deep faith in God that allows your efforts to be fueled by Him and in turn results in excellence in all you do. Your desire to be a follower of Jesus has created a stronger desire for Rachel and your kids to do the same as your entire family is guided by the light. Your commitment to your church, your cell group, and your Christian accountability partners, along with your daily time in prayer, scripture reading, and meditation, allows you to be molded by God in such a way that you are creating a legacy that will be passed down through the ages. Others in your presence know you are in constant contact with the Holy Spirit as you have a peace that radiates from you no matter what the situation. Through your commitment to continuous personal improvement, you've continued to interact with and study about other great people. Through these efforts, you've developed an emotional intelligence that allows you to be at peace and stable and in turn cognizant of the needs of others, no matter what the situation. Your relationship with Rachel and your children have flourished. Because of this, you and your team loves working for you and with you, and others seek advice from you as they desire to have what you have. You've become the ultimate servant leader. Curt, you are an entrepreneur who has successfully built and reaped the benefits of multiple businesses that have positively impacted people all over the world. The blessings earned from these two businesses serve as a catalyst for you to do what you love to do, and that is to be a motivational speaker and also to be able to be present in your children's lives as you actively coach them in the game that you all love, baseball. Curt, you realize your schedule is hectic and intense and requires a tremendous amount of energy. Your ability to couple your strength received from the Lord with your strength from eating, exercising, and resting in an effective and disciplined manner allow you to have energy that is unmatched and desired by others. Curt, because of your disciplined effort to build successful businesses and your commitment to tithing, saving, and getting out of debt, you enjoy financial security today. You not only have money in the bank, but you are living in your dream home with Rachel and feel the satisfaction of knowing you've set your children up for success as you've assisted them financially. Curt, you are an empowered, focused, and passionate man. Your unwavering commitment towards improving yourself creates a difference in the world through your roles as a child of God, husband, dad, entrepreneur, and servant of others. Your life is a testament to all others who strive to become the best possible human being they can be. Wow. He says this, experiencing a close connection with the Holy Spirit, God, which is a living, moving part of the universe, creates an awareness of your unlimited potential to create the life you want for you, your spouse, your children, your business associates, and your close friends. You easily make the time 20 to 30 minutes daily to be with yourself, to meditate, and to listen to this script, you are aware that this daily quiet time expands your awareness of potential and your connection with God. Friends, when I wrote that, or when Jay prepared that vision statement for me, and then we began to start setting goals that were scary at that time in my life. Things like, the home that we were going to live in, a 4,000 square foot home with a full finished basement and all the things that we wanted. Now, keep in mind, we were living in a duplex that we were renting after we had just been foreclosed and our house was repossessed, right? Or our house was foreclosed and we had to move out. Guess what happened within a matter of a couple years? We moved into that 4,000 square foot home with a finished basement. Guess what happened to the other goals of speaking and of making certain amount of money and coaching my kids and becoming a leader and doing all the things that I had that were wrote down there? All those things happened for me. Can I tell you the greatest thing that happened for me of one of the things that was mentioned there, friends? It was the peace that began to start to develop in my life as I began to start spending every single morning with the Lord and reading his word and meditating on it and journaling and looking at I am statements and doing all the disciplines that I do today and have for the last 14 years, and that I spell out in my book and that I share on this podcast every week and with the clients that I coach and the people that I work with, the men that I lead at my church. Because here's the deal, is I want this for everybody. I truly, genuinely want each and every person that I come in contact with every single day to know that you're not too late. That just as much as I thought it was too late for me, that there was no turning back, or there was no way of correcting the things that I had been through, and here I am a failure and all this stuff. That the moment that I began to start getting a vision, a new perspective, a new identity on what my life could look like, on what could be possible, on what I wanted to be, on what I wanted to do, and what I wanted to have, all of a sudden, I stopped looking back, friends. In Philippians, Paul talks about how, we need not to look back anymore, but instead that we press on. We move forward, we look ahead versus looking behind. See, friends, I believe that if today you can relate to this, you are so close to where you want to go. I believe that you're probably closer than you think. I believe that if you knew how close you were, you wouldn't want to treat life as a marathon, as some people say, just take your time, you got all day. No, you would wake up tomorrow morning and you would sprint towards those things that you want. See, I believe that we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not even guaranteed the rest of today. So I want to end with this today, friends. I want to keep this one short. Is if you have had those thoughts that you're behind, that you feel like it's too late, I want to remind you something. Those are a lie. Those are from the liar, from the enemy himself. And remember what my wife Rachel says, if you believe the lies, you empower the liar. So instead of believing those lies and thinking that you're too late, thinking that you're not good enough, thinking that you're too far behind, I want to encourage you today, friends, to get a new vision, to get excited about the purpose for your life. And trust me when I say you have a purpose. We all have a purpose, all right? To get a new vision, to begin to start thinking about what you want. If you need help developing a new vision, well, there's people like me that exist. There's people like Jay Meyer who helped me 14 years ago that exist. But here's the deal, is I just want to remind you today on this podcast, the Champion Life podcast, the Champion Life, a life of abundance and freedom in victory. It's possible. It's possible for you. It's possible for your spouse. It's possible for your kids. It's possible for your business. But it's going to take one thing: continuing to develop a new vision, a new belief system, a new identity, and saying each and every day, I'm going to continue to take the necessary actions to create the necessary belief systems, the necessary mindsets, the necessary skills, if you will, to go out and make that life, that vision happen. It doesn't happen overnight. But trust me, it can happen so much faster than you think. But I want to remind you today as I close, friends, you're not too late. So many people who have had incredible success started really late. I think of, Ray Kroc, founder of McDonald's. I think of other people who just, have looked at life and said, hey, I even think whatever your political views are. Okay, I think about Donald Trump, who's running for president at 70 something years old. The guy's a billionaire. He's got plenty of money. He could do whatever. He could be sitting on a beach right now doing absolutely nothing, playing golf all day long. But instead, he's out risking his life, getting shot at, running for a country that he loves. So no matter your political views, I love you, Republican, Democrat, whatever, doesn't matter. I love Jesus. That's who I'm voting for first each and every day, but my point is to live with purpose today, friends, to live with purpose and remind you that you're not too late. If you're still breathing, you're not dead, then you've got potential, friends. So, hey, I want to encourage you today, take action, work on that vision, friends, and also to remind you, you're not too late. We'll see you on the next episode. God bless.